And how about we go back to Josh's question that he had about, I think you mentioned maybe if the roots are going through all the horizons, and you were wondering if we're seeing better quality, better terpenes, better bud, etc. with Horizonal versus not. And I can share my observations, and I'd like to hear your observations too. Because number one, I think that it's very cultivar dependent, what you're going to see. Is it going through all the horizons? Yes, it absolutely is, especially with my bottom watering technique. I see the roots shoot out the E horizons out of the beds. So yeah, for sure. Am I seeing sort of better terpene results out of horizontal systems versus pots versus just super soil? I've tried it all so far, and what I can say is that overall horizons simplify everything, because you I guess have less issues. It just works very well with the watering for me. There's never any watering issues, especially watering from the bottom, but even watering from the top. I've just like never overwatered a bed. Even if I top water and it runs off, I still don't have issues. So for running a commercial facility, I think that if you want everything to run smooth, yes, Horizons is the way to go. That being said, some cultivars will do different in a small pot versus in a bigger bed versus in Horizons. It totally depends. In general, as far as having product go to the market, pretty much every strain will do very well in Horizons. So if it's doing very well in a pot, it will do good enough in Horizons. But sometimes, and Travis and Josh, I'd like to hear from you guys what you've seen, is sometimes when a plant is confined to a pot, it will express itself actually better than in a big bed. I don't know if it's the stress or what it is, but it just looks more exotic. I would think in some strains look the exact same. But yeah, for me, it's more running the system long term with no issues is the biggest advantage. Is the weed better? It's not worse, but is it really better? I can't really say.
Well, yeah, I mean, only a test would say that. You know what I mean? Like if you got 32, if you're hitting 32%, you're good.
Just to finish, I'm comparing organic weed with organic weed. You know,
exactly.
Using compost, using lab tests, using everything in both ways. So it's being very sort of professionally done in both ways. So are the Horizons giving me a necessarily better product than a potting soil that I lab tested, used my compost, everything, and was very attentive to everything? Like that, I can't tell you for sure. How about you guys? Have you noticed straight up?
I was going to say the same thing. I was going to say that, what I've seen, because I started off in a 5-gallon, then I went to 10, 15, 20, 30 to the 4x4. I have had a 60-gallon as well that I did one, but I've done all of those in horizontal soil systems, just playing with different sands, different sills, because I live here on a property that gives me that opportunity to play. So I wanted to see really what I should do. And I was playing with clays. I have some yellow clay here. I have some red clay. So I was doing all different types of things, but I was growing in all these pots, so I was seeing everything. And I was like, what I'm seeing is like what you said, it's kind of cultivar dependent. And I was seeing like just craziness in the 30, from the 30 to the 60 versus like a 4x4. Like, you're right. I think the 30, for some reason or another, the buds got bigger. It was like,
What do you mean by the 30? 30 what? Sorry.
the 30-gallon bag. Like, I was using grassroots living soil
Okay, like
bag.
a smaller bed.
A 30-gallon bag. Yeah, it's just
like what's a 4x4? How many gallons in that?
That's 150. That's
Okay.
150 gallons.
Okay, so a smaller bed. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, a smaller 30-gallon. Then I had a 60-gallon. You know, they're just beds, you know, gallon size difference. But the 30-gallon, and that's what, you know, a lot of people were saying with living soils. You know, you don't want to go kind of below a 30-gallon grassroots living soil bag. You know, that space is what you need to allow everything to do its thing, you know, to allow the microorganisms to get your water moisture right. Everything's just easier when you get bigger. But as I noticed that in the horizontal system, when I got to a certain point, especially like the 4x4, the 4x4 for me was the hardest in the horizontal, because I just couldn't get the moisture right. I couldn't maintain it in the moisture in the soil wanted to constrict on me. So the sides, like you were saying, like the sides of the bed are where you're having to, like, the most issue is because and for me, it was like I was getting too much air penetration. It was like air was going down and drying out everything too fast, faster than what it was in the middle, because I was just getting that air penetration from where that plastic bag was meeting the soil was a different zone there. So air was really hitting that plastic and shooting down the side, drying out the edges of the soil. So I noticed I had to water more on the edges, but then I didn't have to in the middle. So it was like a delicate balance of like, I need water over here, but not over here. I need some over here, but not over here.
Well, I'll tell you, like I kind of challenge that sort of popular opinion that I hear that you need a bigger soil for it to function properly, and maybe I'm wrong, but in my R&D room, I have relatively really small plots, and if your plant relative to the size of the pot is right, you have the right amount of nutrients, the right balance, the right organisms. You know, it's a proper living soil. I'm getting actually great results. I'm not having problems in a small pot as long as the plant is proportionally the right size. So it kind of seems to me like soil life is still doing its thing, even if it's restricted to that small amount of soil. I don't know.
I'm watching a guy right now. I'm watching a bunch of people right now doing a small pot challenge. Like, that's what it's called.